All right. Well, I have the distinct honor of welcoming Stacey as our guest speaker tonight, which is so fun and so precious to my heart. I'm going to run through a couple of announcements super fast so that she can take the stage here because I know you guys are just so going to be blessed and encouraged by her journey and her story. Definitely, we've just seen such a kick in momentum for her team and for herself personally in the last couple of months. And I've had plenty of people say, what is going on with Stacey? Her numbers are amazing. She has been the top enroller on Team Revive December and January, and then reached Gold Ambassador in January as well, which has been so fun. Right, Heather? Oh, it's just so exciting. So I cannot wait for her to share more. But really quick, let me just run through three things. You have seen the letter of the day on Team Revive, likely. I love doing this in February just because there's 28 days and that's closer to 26 letters in the alphabet. This is my favorite way to do IPA is pick a letter a day, grab at least 10 names off of there, and just love on people well. And so that is our focus this month. And then just kind of whatever spills from my heart each day as well. So you can keep up with that and do that with us through those posts on Team Revive. The 7-day trial group starts on Monday. We already have a great turnout on there. That is so fun. It's such an easy way for people to try our pink drink, but also to experience our community. We'll do some fun giveaways, and you're going to really love the different activities that your guests get to do next week. And I've heard all good things about this type of trial group. This is a new script, so to speak, that we'll be using. And I'm super excited about it. It's so simple. It's so fun, but it's been super successful for so many teams. So I'm excited to just take the risk and try it ourselves and go for it. The third thing that Carolyn mentioned on Team Revive tonight is that all orders, while supplies last, that is, all orders in February receive a free t-shirt. How fun is that? So get your orders in before those t-shirts are gone. It's going to be so fun. There's more info on the Plexus Ambassador page or on Team Revive. All right, that's all my announcements, all the housekeeping, right? Okay, Stacey and I met through Facebook, I think in 2012. I was pulling up our messages. I should have kept it in front of me so I could totally give the details. But before Plexus was even on either of our radar, that is for sure. We met just because I saw her little guy with glasses. And at that time, I've always loved Facebook. I've always loved Instagram. I've loved connecting with people. And especially in that season of my life, I was longing for community. I was home so much, and I was hurting and going through so much with Judah, and just longing for people that understood, really just longing for friends and community, and met Stacey through a Facebook group. And then years later, she entered in one of my candy corn contests, I think. Did you look back at our message? You'll have to share the whole story. I think I later sent her a sample, and I think that was also a year ago. So it was maybe, over 4 months kind of that we chit-chatted, I think. So anyways, it has just been so fun. We still have not met in person, but now I live a lot closer in Minnesota than I ever did in Florida. So I am chomping at the bit to pack in my car and come over and see her face to face, help the team however I can, or her customers, or do a sip and see, or really just come and say hi. I'm going to just come barge in. So anyways, I can't wait for you guys to hear. Stacey, if you want to unmute yourself, I'm going to let you take it away.
Hey guys, thank you, Krista. And I apologize. I feel like my brain is in 1,000 different places. I just got home from parent-teacher conferences. So I teach first grade full-time, and then I have 2 little boys, a 7-year-old and a 9-year-old. And so I came home, and we adopted a dog last week. I don't know why. It was so crazy. So I feel like we have a third child in our house this last week. So it's just a little nuts around here. So if I am frantically looking out the door just to make sure the dog's not having an accident, or to make sure one of my kids is not coming in. So I apologize. I'm gonna try not to be distracted. So anyways, like Krista said, my name's Stacey O'Leary. Just a little bit about myself. I grew up in a small town, on a small farm in Clinton, Wisconsin, southern Wisconsin, and then moved to Madison, Wisconsin, and met my husband. We met each other when we were growing up. And then I always knew I wanted to be a teacher. and a mom. So like one of my students said, like, all your dreams came true, Mrs. O'Leary. And it does feel like it. My dreams have come true. I'm a mom, I'm a teacher. But it was when I had my second son that my health journey really started. So I had one 2-year-old, and then my youngest was born. And I felt like the pregnancy just wasn't like my first one was. I was sick all the time. And then Carson was not an easy baby. So I was lacking in sleep, like all moms are. But I felt like things just weren't quite right. Like, this isn't how motherhood's supposed to be. So I actually went to the doctor and was put on some antidepressants for a short time when Carson was a baby. And that didn't last very long. It didn't help very much. And then Carson started dealing with some health issues. So it was nothing major. I always tell myself it could be way worse, but it was just that those little health issues that just keep you awake at night, that keep you Googling. And he just was never a happy, healthy baby. Like, he just was always crying, always crabby, always throwing up. So that, between how I was feeling during the pregnancy and then how he was doing as a baby, that was really my first step in our health journey, was looking at our food and what we were eating and putting in our bodies. Up until then, I was like, what was that TV show? Like Semi-Homemade with Sandra Lee. Does anyone know what I'm talking about? I was totally like her. A can of this and a packet of that, and throw it all together in the crock pot or in a casserole dish, and that was dinner. My husband would be happy if I literally never made chicken and rice again as a casserole. So it was really then when Carson was little that I started to look at what we were eating and putting in our bodies. So I'll skip over his long health journey, but basically it was probably about the time I met Krista, is when he was diagnosed with abdominal migraines. And so that was something that had kept him up at night. He would wake up at 2 a.m. and start vomiting and screaming for hours at a time. And there was nothing we could do. He just had to work through it. And then he'd basically just pass out from vomiting so much and crying so much, and he'd wake up perfectly fine. So the doctor said he just needs to be on this medicine forever. And here's some emergency medicine to give him should he have an episode. And that's all we can do. And I thought no, there's way better. We can do better than this. So I started experimenting with the foods he was eating. We switched over to a gluten-free diet when he was probably 3 or 4, I think. And we were able to get him off of his medication just by making a diet change. So that really spurred me into looking further into, I feel like I was starting to look into gut health and starting to do some research in gut health when Krista posted probably her candy corn post that she was talking about. I went back and looked at those messages, and I did take a couple notes. They're on my computer. Let me see what I wrote down. Yeah, it was in 2016. So it was 4 years after we became friends. I entered a candy corn contest, maybe guessing how many candy corns were in a dish. And then you just sent me a simple message back, oh, thanks for entering. Have you ever tried Plexus? And I was like, no, I haven't. And left it at that. And you're like, well, I'll send you a sample. And you did. And I tried it. And we didn't talk for a whole year after that. Can you believe it? It was a whole year. I know. So during that year, I went to the library. I remember leaving the library with a huge stack of books about gut health. And it was all way over my head. It was very researchy. But I was like, I think we're onto something. Maybe this would help Carson with his tummy issues, and maybe it would help me. And as I was taking care of him, I feel like I was totally not taking care of myself, as many of us mothers do. And I actually made a list. I had to list all my symptoms because I've been feeling so good. I actually forgot everything that I was dealing with. I had bad anxiety. I don't know if it was depression. They put me on antidepressants. I think I was I don't know, who knows, but anxiety for sure. Allergies. allergies were getting bad, not just in the spring, in the fall, like all year round. Joint pain, hair loss, extreme fatigue, heartburn, nausea, dry eyes, dry mouth, acne, like everything that was on that candida list, I had it. So I then reached out to Krista a full year after that candy corn contest and said, okay, I'm buying the I was so funny. I just like totally made up my mind. I messaged you and said, I'm getting the triplex. How do I order? Send me the link. And you're probably like, what the heck? This girl hasn't talked to me in a year. She doesn't ask me any questions. Like she just did it. So then I decided, I think that same week my Plexus products arrived, I decided to make my first post. And I think I just said something simple like, hey, I'm starting a new step in my health journey. You know, I'd love for you to join me, and left it simple. I had a few people reach out to me right away, and I looked back through our conversations, Krista, and I'm like asking you 100 questions. I knew nothing. So I had an ambassador join right away and a customer join right away. And within a month, they both had quit. And so that was a little disheartening. I was like, oh my gosh, I had no idea what I was doing. I like ruined it. What am I doing? But I didn't give up. And our team is so amazing. Without our team, I probably would have given up. But I just kept hearing these positive messages. Don't give up, you know, be consistent. So I definitely didn't do things perfectly at all. But I took that advice and I was posting when I could. I did a sip and see. I looked back in February. So 2 months after I got my, my first order, I did a sip and see, and then I did an online event, and Krista helped with that. I think there were like 5 people that came to the sip and see, and they were like my neighbors, so they like had to come. And then I think maybe like 5 or 6 people to the online event was it. But from those people, I had enough that were interested and needed help, and I went silver, I think in February of last year. And meanwhile, I was feeling so much better. My heartburn was gone within 3 weeks. And that was something that I'd actually gone to the emergency room for, which seems so crazy because it's just heartburn, right? But I would get so nauseous from it that one time it was so bad, I swear it was like as bad as labor pains. I'm like, what is going on with my body? This is awful. So anyways, within 3 weeks it was gone, which was amazing and also infuriating because I thought all these doctors and all this time, like I'd gone to specialists, integrative medicine doctors, and I don't want to knock doctors because they're amazing when they need to be. But for stuff like this, they really left me high and dry. I felt like I had 0 answers. All the tests that they had done came back negative. So it was just frustrating that after just 3 weeks on gut healing products, that things were so different for me. So I was a full believer in the products. I got my mom started. Her IBS has healed. I got so many people started and they were feeling better. So I just knew I had to tell people about these products because I kept thinking about how I was feeling when Carson was a baby and when I was dealing with my health issues. And I thought, like, if I only knew or if this was around, I don't even know like what it, like if it was around then, but I'm like, I needed this so badly. And there's probably another mom, many moms out there, anybody that just is praying for answers or praying for something different. So that's what kept me going. Plus our team's amazing. Okay. I'm looking, I have more notes. Hang on a second. Okay. So we talked about my first customer, my first ambassador, both quit like immediately. But I kept going. I did my online event. I did the sip and see, went silver. And then I looked back and I kind of felt like I was kind of consistent. But then around June, I remember I looked back and I messaged Krista and I said, I've had so many people ask me about Plexus. Like I remember this week of my life, I was walking around and everywhere I went, people were asking me about Plexus. What is this Plexus? I have this issue. Will it help me with this? I'm like, yes, like all the things. And it was just crickets. And I remember asking Krista, like, what am I doing wrong? I feel like I'm telling people about it and I'm posting about it and like nothing happens. So that month I really decided to work on personal growth. And I started probably fairly quickly after I started taking the products, but I thought I'm going to work on myself and I'm going to really just pour myself into growing and just being there for people. So I'm a really bad book finisher, you guys. I start books and I'm terrible at finishing. So some of these that I'm going to show you, I haven't finished. I'm going to be honest. But this Awaken the Giant Within, Tony Robbins, I started reading that. It's like crazy thick. This is why I didn't finish it. But I feel like that propelled me on the right path. I also had this little one. I don't even know if this is like a popular book, but You Don't Need a Title to Be a Leader. That was another really good one. So I started reading those. And later that month, I don't even know how it happened, but it ended up being one of my best months. I don't even know how. Like it almost seemed like people always say, work on yourself, personal growth. But it was weird at the time because I felt like I'm growing. I feel like I'm working on myself. And I feel like I didn't even do much with my business that month. But like, what the heck? There was some weird connection. Like, I don't understand that. So that was kind of a weird month for me. In October, I don't know what it is, but I just wrote to myself, October, all in. I just decided like that was the month I'm going all in. I messaged a ton of people, talked to a lot of people. And I think what I was trying to do was be there for people, be there for my friends. The word that kept coming to me from Girl Wash Your Face, I have it here somewhere, was show up. And I felt like I need to show up not just for myself, but for my friends and family. So I felt like when I started showing up for people, I could see when people needed Plexus. And I would reach out and say like, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry to hear that you're dealing with XYZ. Like your son has all these ear infections, or your mom has some stomach issues. And I would just say like, I have something if you're interested. And I'm not a pushy person at all. So I feel that even like reaching out, like that's hard for me. I've even told Krista before, like, I'm the girl that has a hard time calling to order pizza. Like I always make my husband call to order pizza because it just gives me anxiety. So for me to reach out, even though I know it's the right thing and I'm doing it, from my heart, it's still hard for me. But I really decided in October, like, I just have to do this. Like something in me is just saying like, I have to do this. So I really tried my best to stay in touch with people and follow up with people. And so often people would say to me like, oh, I'm so glad that you reached back out. I totally didn't see your message. And here I am, like it was eating me up for like a month going, oh my gosh, they're mad at me. They don't like me. They're mad that I reached out about this, but really they just never saw my message. So then it's so true. It happens like so often. So I really just started following up with people. And then in December, I don't know, like crazy things happened. People were calling me every week and messaging me. I'm ready. I'm just going to sign up. People I didn't even know. Like it was like a friend of a friend signed up. Like I don't even understand what's happening. So then this month I thought there's no way I could ever do better than last month. Like last month was awesome. And then like, oh my gosh, it happened again. Like, where are all these people coming from? So I did a little, I think I did a live on, was it Team or 5 Momentum Makers? And just talked a little bit about, I went back to each of the people that signed up in December. And I went back to like, when did we initially start talking? Some people, it was as far back, I think, as last February. Some people in June. And I looked back at our messages and I had just kind of left it open, like, just let me know when you're ready. And then that was it. And they just kept seeing my posts on Facebook. And I felt like for so many of these people, it was just the timing. Like it just worked out that they all happened to decide at the same time, like we're jumping in. So I feel like my goal for myself in December and January has been to really follow up well with my new ambassadors and customers. I feel like I was not very good at that at the beginning. So I feel like I've tried to do much better with that so that people stick with the products and they're consistent so they feel the results. So that's been like a big goal. And I feel like that's been going well. And now that I'm gold, I feel like my next step is growing my team. And I did join with Bob Heilig's challenge starting next week. So I'll be doing that, but I still feel like I have a long ways to go and a long ways to grow. But it's been a crazy year. I never thought I would be doing this ever. I know everyone says that, but it's so true. And I still think like, why would Krista ask me to talk? Like, I'm not anybody. Like, I'm not, like, I feel like I'm a teacher and I've got that, and I'm a mom and I've got that. And I just feel like it's weird that there might be something else that I could actually do. So anyways, I think that was everything I wanted to share. I'm just going to double check my notes and see if there's anything else. No, I think that was it. And I apologize. I couldn't get my computer to work, so I'm on my phone, so it's been like shaky. But yay that no dog has had an accident and no kids have come in. Oh, thank you, Krista. Thanks, everybody.
That was amazing. Amazing. I can't believe a whole year went by after I sent you the sample. That's embarrassing. So, team, you did not hear that. I did not follow up well. But it was such a reminder of what I say all the time. You can't say enough of the right things to the wrong people and enough of the wrong things to the right people. I really just feel like the more we just lay that trust in him, he's just so faithful to stir hearts who need this. And do I think that, yes, sometimes people fall through the cracks? I do. I think I have messed up so many times that people have fallen through the cracks. But I love the analogy of the weight for us to carry is obedience, and the weight that God carries is the outcome. God carried Stacey's outcome for me while I was really dropping the ball on following up with her. I was, girl. Like, oh, I'm just so proud of you, and just so proud of the way you jumped into personal growth, and you continue to plant seeds, and you were consistent, and here your harvest came. And we don't know the day or the hour or the month that we see that harvest. It always comes, though, and it always comes at you. The same story happens all the time. I started pursuing personal growth, and then all of a sudden stuff started happening, and you can't even like put a finger on it. And I feel like we're broken records saying, dive into personal growth, read a book, read another book, listen to another training. But it changes everything. It doesn't just change our business, though. It changes who we are. We're growing into what God's called us to be, and growing in our marriages. And as we parent our children, and I keep telling my kids, I want them to stand on my shoulders and just go above and beyond because of my personal growth. Can they learn right along with me? They're learning stuff that I never would have learned at their age. So, I'm just so proud of you. Let me see. I wrote down a couple notes. Oh, I would love for you to share, if you have a moment, you're still working full time, you're still a teacher. So for those that are like, I can't do this, I'm not a stay-at-home mom. I'm not homeschooling my kids, I'm working full time. Do you have any tips or tricks that you can share of how you get this in?
I think someone shared a story about how, I feel like it was someone on our team, but I could be totally wrong, and I'm probably going to mess up the story a lot. But it was like somebody's friend had like a leak in their basement, and she had to spend hours cleaning up. Does this ring a bell? Does this sound familiar? She had to spend like 4 hours like cleaning up her disaster of a basement after there was this leak. And someone had said, like, if you'd asked her at the beginning of the week, do you have 4 hours to spend cleaning your basement this week? She would have been like, absolutely not, I don't have 4 hours. But she had to make time. So I feel like for me, if you were to ask me, like, do you have 4 hours to give this week? Like, I don't. My kids have, and I only have 2 kids. But sometimes it feels like there's 8. They're at basketball, they're at wrestling. I have parent meetings, parent-teacher conferences, sport events, like crazy. So I feel like I don't have time, but I have this like deep desire to do this. And so I make the time, like when I'm putting my makeup on in the morning is when I listen to training videos. And I really like doing that. So I put it on when I'm putting my makeup on. And then when I come home, if it's not a night when we have to do like sports right away, I like to hop on the treadmill and go for a walk, or if it's not 100 degrees below zero, go outside for a walk. And then I love to listen to podcasts. So Rachel Hollis has a great podcast, and there's a whole bunch of them. So I listen to those. That's when I get my personal growth in. And then messaging people, I do it on my lunch break at work, which usually I would work through my lunch break because teachers' days are crazy. But I feel like I need that break from my day. And so I usually sit and eat my lunch and message people back. And then usually it's after my kids go to bed. So sometimes I send people messages at like 9:30, 10 o'clock at night. And I just hope like, well, hopefully they don't have their, their notification settings on their phone, or I'll message them back at like 6 in the morning. But I just fit it in when I can. And I just try to stay on top of messaging people during the week, because the weekends are equally as crazy. So yeah.
Love that. So good. How about, what do you think compelled you to make that first post? Yeah, because had you even tried the products when you made your first post?
Only the sample. Yeah.
Amazing.
Only the sample. I get it. I didn't even think about that. Yeah. So I think at the time, I'm trying to think what even made me do that. I think I was just, I think it was just because I had done all that research about gut health, and I'm like, I just felt like I was onto something. So I thought, like, if people want to do this with me, great. I don't know what I'm doing, but, and then I feel like there was just kind of this, like, I just had this gut feeling, no pun intended, that like, this was just going to be something bigger than just me. I don't know if that makes sense. But.
Yeah. I love it. What would you say is your biggest driving why now of what you want to get out of this?
Yes. So that's changed several times. And that, I looked back in our messages and I felt like I kept updating you like, well, I have a new why. My why has changed. So I feel like at first it was kind of like I said, and then I thought, gosh, it'd be really nice if I could get my products paid for. Like, that would be great. So then that was when I was working towards silver. And then I feel like there wasn't like one video in particular that I can put my finger on, but I feel like watching some of those diamond documentaries, I was like, and there's quite a few teachers, I feel like, that have diamond status. And I was like, oh my gosh, I've really never considered something different. I've always had this, I love teaching and I love kids, but it's just a lot. And I feel like my kids need me, and they'll need me more as they get older. So I just kind of had this like deep question, like, could I do that? Like, could I stay home more and do this part-time? And then it became last spring, we had to travel. I had to take my son to Idaho, crazy long story, to go see a specialist, which was really expensive because flying, I don't know, maybe like no one flies to Idaho. I don't know, but the flights are so expensive to Idaho. We flew into Salt Lake City anyways, but to pay for the tickets, and to pay for the testing that we had to have done, it was going to be a lot. And I just thought, like, oh my gosh, if I could use my Plexus money to pay for that, that would be such a blessing and so amazing. And so I accomplished that. That was last April. And that was a month that, I didn't even tell you this part. When my husband had his back surgery last year, and I was like, and then my son was dealing with some other major health things last January, February, March, April-ish. I was so thankful for these products. I felt like if that had happened 4 months earlier, I feel like I would have like hit a new all-time low. Like, it would have been bad news. So anyways, it was great timing. I forget even what the question was. oh yeah, why? And so, yeah, so anyway, so it changed from getting my products paid for, paying for this trip to Idaho, and now I don't know. I just feel like it's crazy. I don't know.
I love it. Does anyone else that's on the call have any questions? Talk about putting you on the spot, Stacey. I didn't even give you any heads up. I love it. Throw it in the comments or unmute. And Lane made a good point, and she's mentioned this to me before. She threw it in the chat, so I don't know if you saw it.
No.
Lane said, Lori Harrison told me once to not feel guilty for not finishing a book. You get out of it what God wanted you to, and that's all that is needed.
Oh, thanks, Lane. That does make me feel better.
Yeah, her and I are just as bad as you are. Like, I have probably 12 or 13 next to my bed here.
Yes. The only book I think I have finished in probably the last 7 years has been Girl Wash Your Face. That was the only one I finished. I did.
Lane, you found your sister.
The funniest story was, oh my gosh, sorry, total side note, but when Colin was nursing, I was reading, like, what was that, like, weird vampire series that, like, I never read books like that. And I read, like, the first, 3 books in the series, and he stopped breastfeeding when I had, like, 7 pages left to go in the series, in the whole series, and I didn't finish it. Because that's when I would read it, is when I was feeding him in the middle of the night, and I'm bad. I'm so bad.
That is so funny. Lane, did you hear her? Yep, she did. She's laughing. Yep, that's her story. That's the only one she finished. Now, did I see that her Made for More, what is it? It's going to be on Netflix. Did you guys see this? I think it'd be so fun to have, like, viewing parties or something and get everyone together and watch that again. Any questions that you want to throw out? I know we're at the half-hour mark here, but I want to give an opportunity to, because it's been so fun to see what God's done in your business and on your team. I'm working on being okay with awkward silence, but y'all, it's still tough. Made for More is coming out to Netflix, right, Heather? For, like, just a few days, I want to even say. Like, not a super long time or something. I saw something. I will read the whole email at some point. Well, anyway, Stacey, thank you. This was so good. I loved all your tips, and it's just been so fun to watch your journey unfold. And it says so much, too, about what a self-starter you are, because I have not helped you. Like, you have just dug into personal growth and to doing your own sip and see and just all the things. I'm so proud of you. You just jump right in, and you have such a heart for others. Like, you've just known this can help other people the way it's helped you. And to see you just compelled out of that compassion is so amazing. Let's close in prayer really quick, you guys. We did good. 34 minutes. Yay! Thank you, Lord, for what you're doing. It is amazing just to see the way you're stirring hearts and you're just lining things up. I think so many of us are just sensing this shift in this season right now, and preparing to run, or we've strapped on our running shoes and sensing you say it's time to run. It's time to go. Just praise you for the lives that are being touched and the lives that are being changed, and the way that you draw people in who are called to either do this as a business or who you know that these supplements will be a blessing to their body. And so I just pray you'll guide our steps, guide us as we go about our life, that we will be intentional about the people that we come in contact with, shining your light first and foremost, being led by love, but always knowing that this is a tool that you've given us to bless other people. So maybe be intentional whenever we're out and about, whenever we are online, connecting and being open to who you may be bringing into our path. We just thank you and we praise you for all that you're doing. In Jesus' name, amen. I love you guys. Thank you so much for coming on. Stacey, thank you again for doing this short notice and just off the cuff and letting me ask you questions and everything. I just so appreciate it. And I know many will be blessed. I'll be putting this recording up so that those that couldn't tune in tonight can still catch all of your story. Love you, girl. Love you guys. Have a good night.